Still no music. That's music. Nope.
Do you hear any music now?
Only through your speaker. Good, good. All that's on screen right now. Hey coaches, Matt Buchi here for the University of Illinois men's wheelchair basketball team. I'm joined with Coach Steph Wheeler for our women's team that's going to be jumping on to each one of these coaching clinic sessions. We are really excited to have all of you here. It looks like we've got 36 participants in at the moment. Hoping that we have a few more added in. We had about 60 register for this session and the rest of the sessions. So really excited to have all of you here. If you would, in the chat box, I'd love to know where you guys are from and what divisions you currently are coaching. That'd be really great to know about. So if you would just kind of jump into those. Kind of give you a rundown of what we're going to be having for our clinics. So this first one here is going to be a practice planning clinic. So we're going to be talking about what we do for our practice planning from a wide macro level into our micro individual level. We'll be going on to coaching philosophy tomorrow at the same time and talking about how to build a coaching philosophy. And then on Wednesday, we will be talking about a long-term athlete development plan, and we'll be having Coach Frogley join us and have a discussion with that. And then Thursday, we're really excited about having our Chalk Talk. So this has always been a fun one for our coaching clinics that we've done in person, is where we've had a lot of coaches ask questions or just have things in general they want to talk about. So we're excited to go through a Chalk Talk and draw some things up, maybe talk about some plays or what we do. So if you do have questions and things for that, we'd love to have you jump onto our social media. Facebook is probably the easiest to contact us, and comment on the Chalk Talk post about what things you'd want to talk about so we can have some material to go through. Like I said, my name is Matt Buchi. I'm the coach of the men's team, and I've got Steph Wheeler here with us, coach of our women's team. And we want to talk about practice planning. So I'm going to be talking about the macro side of things, kind of like the big perspective, and then we're going to be breaking down all the way into our practice plan side. So the first thing we're going to be talking with our practice planning is how to go about doing it. I know from experience with a lot of coaches is that when we put together practice plans, it's kind of what are the drills that we want to work on today, and we just kind of jump in the gym and work on the things that we're comfortable with. But we got to have a way of having some big plan and then being able to break it down into smaller chunks to be able to work. So that's what we would consider as our season plan. We're very fortunate here in Illinois that we've got a pretty long history of building our repertoire of practices and what material that we have building in. So we have a large document that is a season plan. And the season plan that we have is this running large document that is also just a living document that we continue to add to and evaluate season by season. And that's what really starts in for us, is we go through there and look at this big file, all the different drills and things that are happening in it, and how do we incorporate those into our season that we've got. This would be a season plan that breaks down from 1-on-1 to 5-on-5 drills, offense and defense, transition-based stuff, slobs and blobs, sideline out of bounds, baseline out of bound plays, what the bench should be doing, what we do during jump balls. Just think of everything you can imagine that you're going to need for that season is all put in that season plan and built in. And consider it kind of like a brain dump. It's just everything that we want to put in, we put in a large document, and then we're able to come back to that, especially there's times in the season where Coach Wheeler and I, when we're working our men's and women's teams, and there's times where we've got to figure out what we need to be doing at certain times of the season, or maybe things that we've forgotten about or haven't worked on, we can go back to that season plan and be able to build off of it. What I would recommend is to have all of you try to start and create your own season plan and just really think about all the items that you would want to cover in a season and start to build and put that document together. If you would be interested in seeing that document, it's not something we necessarily share digitally, but if you were to come into our in-person camp for our coaching clinics, we have copies of the book, and you're welcome to come in and take a look and take all the notes that you've got there. And I know several coaches that are on this call have seen the document and seen other things that we have here. So just another great thing to be able to do to come out and see our camp. What I would also recommend now, and if you haven't already, is make sure that you've got a piece of paper, something to write with, and start taking some notes on how you would break down this season plan and practice plans into it, because it's really going to be great to be able to have you start to filter what your thoughts are and how you would run your season plan and practice plans compared to what we might be doing with ours. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is how to break up our season plan into certain little chunks. So And, in the way that I would kind of see this is we would put the entire season into 4 quarters. And those 4 quarters would break up different areas and foci into what we're going to do for our season. So the first graphic that we're going to have up here is just our season plan into 4 quarters. So what I'm seeing in the 4 quarters would be our first quarter could potentially be our preseason. And based off of what our college season would be, our student athletes would come back to campus in the late of August. And then all of our preseason training goes all the way up to October 1st, which is the beginning of our regular season. So that's a lot of the stuff that we'd be working on for preseason stuff. The second quarter would be something would be considered like an early season. So this might be still training in the regular season. You may not have games, but you might be starting to have a couple of games and tournaments that you've been working with. And then we transition into our third quarter, which is like our late season. That's mid-January to mid-February for us. And that's pretty heavy on the game load for us, but we're still developing and building on it. And then the fourth quarter would be our postseason. And this is the mid-February to nationals. This is the last tournament or two, just getting ready to go into competition. So let's think about some of the things that we would build into these 4 quarters, knowing that we are taking our huge season plan brain dump and we want to break it into different segments. That's good for the development of the athletes. So we moved into our season plan breakdown and think about our preseason having some more individual fundamental type of development. These things would be your basic individual reads of working on dribbling skills, ball handling skills. A lot of the athletes that we have that are new to the sport might be struggling to be able to ball handle and not keep eye contact on the ball. So we're making sure to keep our eyes up and do those type of little small fundamentals for ball handling. We could be doing some passing drills. This could be off the wall or with a partner. Our shooting drills is breaking down a lot of the basic fundamentals of it. We love using video early on in the season to be filming an athlete from a side profile and give them an idea of what their shooting performance looks like. And we can build that from going in mirror shooting that we would talk about at the very beginning, which would be looking at yourself and how your shooting form is, to then going on court and maybe doing some line shooting, maybe some shooting off the wall, and then slowly getting progressed into shooting into a basket. And then pushing mechanics. I know we've talked a little bit about this in our one-on-one defensive part, but pushing mechanics and basics of just knowing how to push the chair correctly and progressing all the way through of just being able to have full court speed. So we'll be working on that kind of stuff in the preseason, a lot of individual based things. And then now we get into our early season. This is our one-on-one, two-on-two type of basics. We're usually narrowing the court on this one, but still talking about fundamentals. So this could be a one-on-one type of shadow work. It could be a one-on-one quarter court play where you could working on some post moves, then into some two-on-two work, still narrow quarter court. So you're helping the defense build those skills. And then we progress then into our team drills. That's going from our one-on-one, two-on-two, 3-on-3, and 3-on-3 was really great for working with the fundamentals and individual drills because those 3-on-3s allow no one to hide in those drills. So we go into our 3-on-3 that goes into our team drills, and we're going to go all the way up into our 5-on-5. A lot of the drills that we have in this time are going to be in a half court setting. So you're not putting a lot of pressure on the athletes to try to make things up in a transition game. It would also be setting up set plays. If there's certain things on your offense that you want your athletes to do, this is the time period that you would go from early season building just a 2-on-2 setting to then building it now into a 5-on-5 and having them understand those. And now we're going to present into the postseason part. And like you see here, situational game speed development. This is what's taking the skills that we've built throughout the season, and now can we put them at a high rate of speed, put some extra pressure on them. And then what we really love to do in this late season and postseason is do situational type of work. We like to call it end game, where at the end of a practice, when we're doing into a scrimmage, we may stop and give some information to do an end game for decisional mind work, the decision making, because a lot of the times when they get into games that might be a high pressure game, a lot of the athletes are looking to the coach or looking to somebody else for that decision. And if we can go through situational work throughout the postseason, that gets them more prepared for the situation that may be coming up. So just kind of basics of what the 4 quarters may look like in generalities. Again, we're talking the macro side of things. And now let's go into something that we would consider in like a weekly plan, but you guys might be considering a monthly plan. So we built this to kind of look like a monthly plan broken into 4 weeks. And let's consider for a lot of adult coaches that you may have your athletes 1 time a week or maybe 2 times a week. These might be some of the drills that you would use and how you would progress through those. And that's what we're really doing is we took the season plan of the 4 quarters, and now let's consider that this monthly plan is a part of one of those quarters. And now we've got to take that and break it down into something that's a little bit more manageable to learn. Some of the things that we've got on this one that you can see, the first sections that goes from week 1 to week 4 at the very top is some of our warm-up type of drills that are still progressions. 2-person chase layups is a transition drill that's going to be working with just 2 individuals that are going and making layups, working on rebounding and passing that way. Then it can be built up into a modified Celtic fast break, which is a team one, but it's still same transition concepts of a outlet pass to an individual for a transition layup. Now we're building into 3-person weave. Now we've taken from the 2-on-2, the 2 people into 3. And then transition progression is going from just 1 individual to breaking it all the way down into a 5-on-5. Transition progression would start with somebody at the free throw line, shooting, make or miss. And what happens with their shot, they transition back on defense. And now it's going to be 2 offensive players from 1 team going against that 1 that was just shooting the free throw. So it's a 2-on-1. Then transitioning back, that 1 defender picks up 2 of their teammates and transitions against the 2 that were just on offense to now a 3-on-2. Progresses back and forth, 3-on-2, 4-on-3, 5-on-4, 5-on-5, and then we reset again. So that's the kind of a transition progression that way. The next one would be transitioning into shadow work. So 1-on-1 shadow, quarter court with the ball. This is helping out the defense because with a 1-on-1 shadow in a quarter court, you have a very narrow lane where you're doing edge of the key sideline going for the full length of the court, but adding with the ball actually slows down the offense. So they've got to be able to handle the ball while they're attacking the defense. And then progressing into week 2, you could do 1-on-1 shadow quarter court without the ball. So now the offense has the opportunity to attack the defense at a higher speed, not having to worry about the ball. We progress in the next one, 2-on-2 shadow, 2/3 court with the ball. So we have now gone 2/3, which we're incorporating the entire key. So we have sideline and the full width of the key, that length, 2/3 of the court full length, but again, with the ball, and then progressing to without the ball in the week 4. Slow progression that way. We can now talk about offensive side of progression, 2-on-2 quarter court, talking about defense, then offense, and then defense and offense in a 3-on-3 setting. You can see that the quarter court and the 2/3 court develops into quarter court, 2/3, 2/3, and then into a full half court, demanding more from the defense because of the space. And then the last part of this would be how we may progress or change foci of our scrimmages based on what we did in those practices. So if we know for week 1, we really got to work on pick and roll, that may be part of our instruction into the 2-on-2 quarter court is working on pick and roll mechanics and maybe how to defend on pick and roll mechanics. And then in the scrimmage, that's what our focus is to work on that in the scrimmage. I think I know from my experience as coaching with athletes is that if we don't have a specific focus or foci for scrimmages, a lot of the times what we worked on for the last hour and a half goes out the window and we go right back into let's just scrimmage and play basketball. So it's really important to have a focus that way and also having a way of evaluating what's happening in those scrimmages. If you were able to record different things that are happening. Let's say if we do the pick and roll and somebody runs the pick and roll, that may be worth more points. We do that a lot of times with the guys is where if we say week 3 on our scrimmage for our foci is ball swings, we might have it where if you get more than 4 or 5 ball swings in one offensive possession, that shot is worth 3 times what it would be with only 1, 2, or 3 ball swings. So it really just makes them focus on what am I getting out of this scrimmage, and then we can evaluate it after the fact. So just thinking about, again, we went from our season, our really big brain dump of a program, of a document, and then went into a season plan where we broke into our 4 quarters and trying to take the season into bigger chunks. And now this would be how we would attack one of those chunks. I think with a lot of the drills that we have here, you're probably in your early season work with the drills that we have here. So now that we have the monthly plan that we've talked about with you guys, now we're going to turn it over to Steph to talk about how we take our weekly plan, since we have our student athletes 5 days a week, how we would take a season plan and then we would transition it into a practice plan.
All right. Thanks, Coach Buchi. So yeah, we're going to transition into what a weekly plan would look for us, just to kind of piggyback on some of the things that we were talking about in the season plan and in the weekly plan. We want to make sure that this weekly/monthly plan, right, depending upon the number of practices and times that you have your teams per week or per month, we want to make sure that the reason that we do this is we want to make sure that all practices are connected, and that each week is connected so that we have a context for learning for our student athletes. I think one of the things, especially with this generation of athletes that we're working with, particularly here at U of I, and some of you who coach youth leagues, they want to know why, right? They want to know why we're doing everything. They want the context for what we're doing. So from a coaching perspective, we have to be able to answer that question. And so this is really what our weekly or monthly plan allows us to do, is to write out our own progressions and provide context and connection for what we're learning. This also, like Coach Buchi was saying, it allows us to put in what needs to be taught and when. And it is just this skeleton plan. Like this is, very similar to what you saw on the graphic that we have up there before. This is just for us a real life example of what this will look like. So this is for us, as you can see up at the top, this is November, kind of later in November. So we're still in that early part of the season where we're working on a lot of smaller group, individual based skills. So as you can see, Monday through Friday, we progress from some one-on-one and two-on-two work up to three-on-three work by the end of the season. And, like Coach Buchi was talking about, three-on-three work is such a great way to make sure that your student athletes or your athletes that you're working with at any level are getting lots of touches on the ball. They're getting lots of opportunities, both offensively and defensively, to work on the skills that you've been working on leading up to this point. So again, we have Tuesday as our strength and conditioning day. You see we have chair skills up here. We don't have our sets written in, but Tuesday is kind of a day we always set aside within our season, or within our week, to work on our chair skills. So for those of you guys that were in our one-on-one defense session earlier, we talked about a couple of these chair skills as way to work on some of those defensive principles if you can't get to a court, if you don't have a teammate to do one-on-one defense with. One of the things that we also like to do, and I think Coach Buchi touched on this with the season plan, is that within your season plan, you want to make sure you're putting everything in there that you're going to want to work on during the season. So not only do you see in our weekly plan the actual drills that we're going to do as a skeleton, but you see things like team video. By this time, we would have had at least one tournament, so we'd have 3 or 4 games that we could look at and look into to watch some team video during practice. We've got some off the court stuff that we were doing with like our mental skills training. We've still got some teaching stuff we're doing, as you see on our Friday, with teaching, playing tight versus playing loose. So this is a really cool part of the season where you kind of get a mix of both. You're doing some learning from your games, and you're still getting to apply that into your teaching and learning. What we have at the top here with our weekly plans are our more team-oriented things, and then you see scrimmage and in-game. We'll talk about that when we get into our daily practice plan. Then at the bottom, you see more individual-related skills. Our practices are broken up kind of into 2 sections, a team-oriented section and an individual skill-oriented section. For those of you that are working in more community settings, your practice plan or your weekly plan or monthly plan might look a little bit different than this. It might be flipped in reverse, where you have a lot of your individual skills that you're working on first, because you don't know when some of your players are going to show up. They're reliant upon other people or other modes of transportation to get them to practice. So putting your individual skills at the beginning of practice could be a good way if you're struggling with like, well, I've got these team skills I want to work on. What do I want to do? Putting those individual skills first might be a good way to flip that. Another thing too is you could already have some scrimmage sets going at the at the beginning of your practice. It could be 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5, however many folks that you have at the beginning of practice. And they can just come right in, jump into a scrimmage set. When you get everybody there, when you're ready to start your practice, you can get going. So, you know, thinking about our structure and, you know, how we have our practices going from small group skills to larger group skills based on your particular needs and, you know, what kind of team that you have, you may have to move your practices around. We've actually had to do that here. We practice early in the morning, 6:30 to 8:30, but we've at times had student athletes with 8 a.m. classes. And so we've had to move our practices around and be a little bit flexible with where we put certain things to accommodate when we have the most people at practice. So just some things to think about as you're looking at your monthly plan and looking at your weekly plan. So I think we have another weekly plan we're going to look at that takes us a bit later into the season, and this is in February, so early February. So we're about to get into that postseason part of our season. And as you see, the practice plan is or the weekly plan, sorry, is pretty significantly different. There's a lot more 4-on-4, 5-on-5, and actually this is a great example of what I was just talking about, where we've had to actually flip our practices and do a lot of our larger group stuff at the beginning because we would have had athletes leaving early to go to class. So you can see a lot more 5-on-5 work that we're doing, a lot more of like offensive walkthrough type activities that we're doing, just to make sure that as we're getting towards that end of the season, we're beginning to refine, we're beginning to learn what our opponents are doing. We're kind of putting those finishing touches on what we're doing and then making sure that we're preparing ourselves for what we're about to get into with our postseason. You can also see here at the end of the week on Friday, this must have been a game weekend coming in for us because got a little bit shorter practice and we're working on our game warm up and game shooting. I think that's something kind of important to remember and talk about as we're here in our practice planning portion. And this is something we normally in our coaching clinic talk about in a different portion, but I think it's good to talk about here, your game warm up. So a lot of time we leave, our game warm up is one of the things that we leave to chance. And, you know, as you get to game day and as your athletes are getting into their right mental framework, physical framework, emotional mindset, whatever it is that you're trying to get to with your game warm up, it's important that it's something that you've practiced, that they know, that you're not throwing variations and kind of wrenches into on game day, just because that's their opportunity as a collective group to get themselves where they need to be emotionally, mentally, physically for our games, right? So we write this into our practice plans and weekly plans all throughout the season, not just the day before a game or the day before a weekend of games. It's something that we practice. And in practice, you may throw wrenches into it. You may do something that distracts them. You may do something that forces them to have to adjust. But it's something that on game day, we want them to be familiar with. It should be efficient. It should be something that they all are really comfortable with doing because we want to get ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally ready. When the ball goes up, that we're all ready to go. So just a little side note there about, you know, game warm up and making sure that we're ready to go on game day. So that's kind of the gist of our weekly plans, which again, for some of you could be your monthly plans, depending upon how many practices you have per week or per month. Again, this ties directly back to season plan. Nothing we do is ever in isolation as coaches. Everything needs to be connected so that we're moving our team to where they need to be by the end of a season. So again, everything going back to our season plan with where we want to get our athletes to by the end of the season. Now what I want to do is move into some individual daily practice planning. So again, what I've done is I've pulled a day from the weekly plan in November that you saw earlier. I've pulled one of our daily practices out of there to show. So what we're going to do is walk through this and kind of talk about why we've chosen what I've chosen, why, as you see in this one, there are so many scratches, like just why this practice plan looks the way it does. We always have a focus for the day. It's not written out here with, you know, how we've moved in our digital world. A lot of times I'll find a focus on my phone, like a little picture to show the athletes or something like that. And it doesn't necessarily get written down on the plan, but there is always a focus. And the focus could be a lot of times actually my focus for the day while it will relate to basketball and it relate to something, it's more of a character skill that we're working on. And it'll be something that's more tied back to our team standards, right? And how we want to live those team standards for the day and what those are going to look like and what they can look like in action and practice that day. So again, our focus isn't random. It isn't something that we just kind of come up with that day. That's part of the season plan as well with our individual and team standards. So our focus will be something that we put up there. We always have some type of warm up. Generally with our student athletes, we expect them to kind of get stretched out on their own, do whatever they need to do prior to practice to individually get themselves ready to go. And then when we get into practice, we'll have some kind of team warm up. We do a layup drill here in this particular practice to get going. And then we move into kind of the meat of our practice. And so here we're starting with an individual skill, again, still early in our season. So we've got some one-on-one quarter court from half court. For those of you that were in our session this morning, we talked a little bit about how we use one-on-one quarter court to work on defense if we need to. I always like to write out the drill and then write out any reminders for myself or any reminders that I'm going to give our student athletes as we're working on this. So you guys can see I wrote the drill out. Most importantly, I have the time that we're going to use for each drill. That's super important because you don't want a drill to go on forever and you don't want to do a drill that's not long enough. And so as you can see here, we're actually doing this drill for a long time, 20 minutes. We're running them pretty hard in this particular drill. So you always have a timing. I'm reminding myself that everybody has to clear at a minimum to the 3-point line. We want to make this as game-like as we possibly can. Once I write out my individual drill that we're working on, I always have keys. And kind of like Coach Buchi talked about with, he had keys within his scrimmage sets and elaborated on why that was important. For each individual drill that we choose to do, it's really important that you give some kind of visual key as to what you want the athletes to work on. If I just said, all right, we're gonna work on one-on-one quarter court from half court, here are your matchups, let's go. They could go out there and do anything they wanted to do, which they probably would, right? They might focus on, I don't know, their defense. They might not focus on anything. So our job as coaches is to give them the particular keys and learning objectives that we want them working on. So for this particular drill, we have keys of we want our body between the ball and the defender. We want fundamental defensive reads, and we wanted to anticipate our next read. These keys are pulled directly from the season plan. So if you were to look at our season plan and where you were to go into one-on-one defense or one-on-one offense, the section where we have that listed out, you would see in one-on-one offense, one of our main teaching points will be body between ball and the defender. That's a pretty basic key when we're teaching one-on-one offense. When we talk about one-on-one defense and we talk about it at a higher level where our student athletes are, you always talk about anticipating your next read. We have it here as an offensive and defensive key, but that's going to be listed in our season plan. So again, these aren't just kind of pulled out of the air. They have a reason why they're there. That's where we are in the season. These are some basic fundamental reads. Also at the end, you see that I have either questions or statements in parentheses. And these are questions or statements that we pose to the student athletes because we really want them to get a visual of what that particular skill looks like or what that particular key looks like. It's really easy for me as a coach to say, okay, keep your body between the ball and the defender, and then just send them out to go to play. What really enhances learning is if they can visualize that skill and tell you how they're going to do it or tell you what it means or what it looks like. And so, we ask the question to them, how will you keep your body between the ball and the defender? And they might say, well, I want to keep my space and movement, or I want to make sure that I keep the ball in my outside hand. That when I go to turn, I'm pivoting away and I cross over and put the ball in my other hand rather than keeping the ball in the hand that's closest to the defender. So we really get them talking through those reads at a high level. After we list out our keys and what we want the athletes to work on, we always list out matchups. And as you can see here, this was definitely a day where we had to change up some matchups based on folks being sick or folks being out of practice for one reason or another. So I write my practice plans out the day before a practice based on, who we have on our team. but then they might have to change, right? And so we went from having 2 courts going here to having 3 courts going with some different parameters in place. So I think that's one important thing to remember as a coach, is that we have to be flexible and adaptable the day of practice, right? I may come in and someone would have texted me that morning, say, hey, I'm sick, I can't make it. And I have to be flexible in what I do to make sure that we can still get out of practice what we need to get out of practice. So having the matchups is important initially for a couple of different reasons. One, I want to get certain things out of those matchups. So if I'm looking at what I have written out right now, I have a matchup of Allie, Erica, and Jordan, so a group of 3 rotating together. Those were 3 of our fastest and tallest players that we had at that point in time. So what I was really trying to do is get speed on speed and some height on height working against each other. But you can create matchups for various different reasons. Like I talked about in one-on-one defense earlier today, we want everybody to be able to guard people of different heights, strengths, classification. So I can create my matchups to get that, right? I can put a 4-5 against a 1-0, and we might think like, why in the heck would you do that? Like that is not a good matchup at all. But our 4-5s and our 1-0s have to be able to guard each other, right? Or I might put one of my faster players against, not my absolute slowest player, but someone who needs to learn how to guard someone for a certain period of time that's a little bit faster. So we can manipulate our matchups to really enhance the student athlete's learning and what they're getting out of each section. As we move forward, we always have some kind of like water break that we put in, and our water breaks can look a little bit different based on what we want out of this practice. This practice in particular, I wanted it to be a higher pace where we're working a lot and we're not giving a lot of time for breaks. And so we've only got about 1 minute for them to get water. Sometimes what we'll do is like a 5 minutes for free throws, water, and sprints. It's a more of active recovery where they can get water, they can shoot free throws, or they're sprinting. And it gives them a little bit more time to do that. But we wanted to keep the pace of practice moving here. So we wanted to get water real quick and get right into our next drill. And then again, this is pulled right from that weekly plan. We go into some 2-on-2, quarter court, full court. One of the things that I think is really important to note here within our keys, sometimes our keys, I'm going to move down to the last drill because I want to talk about that before we move forward into the next practice plan. We talked about our keys being directly from our season plan, but sometimes, and a lot of times what we want in practice is for drills to build on each other, right? So and our athletes sometimes don't understand that. They don't understand the connection from one drill to another. They're like, oh, we're doing this drill. Now I'm going to get a break. We're going to go to this drill. Now I'm going to get a break. We have to teach them to see the connections and how each drill builds on each other. And so a really simple way that I do that, I did a 2-on-2 quarter court drill from half court, focusing on defense. The very next drill that we did is a 2-on-2 quarter court, full court drill. So we're going from the half court to the full court. I really wanted to connect the 1-on-1 and the 2-on-2 to this new 2-on-2 drill that we're doing. So I just asked them, we talk about it. We talk about how, again, nothing we do is in isolation. And so it's important for them to be able to say, okay, from our 2-on-2 quarter court defensively, we're going to bring that connecting with communication. This is what it's going to sound like. This is how it's going to help us. So again, we're really getting the athletes to take ownership of what it is they're learning within that particular drill and how they connect it to the drill that's above. So again, moving through that practice, if we can scroll down a little bit. Again, we have a shorter amount of water. And then like Coach Buchi said, there's always some kind of full court scrimmage that we put in to practice the particular skills that we're working on. Full court scrimmage does not have to be 5-on-5. It can be anywhere from 3-on-3 up to 5-on-5. This particular day, we had a 3-on-3 scrimmage just because of the number of people that we had at practice. So with our full court scrimmage, we were playing a 20-point game. It's a particular kind of scrimmage that we play to, in this case, I think we were emphasizing defense, if I'm not mistaken, with our 20-point game. And then our keys, we just say they're from earlier, and we have the athletes give us 3 things that they want to focus on. We have them in their teams, and then we get them going into a scrimmage. That's the end of our practice. Just like we have a warm-up, we have a cool down. So that's the end of our team practice. And then, like you saw in our weekly plan, we move into what we call our small group practices. And this is where we can get a little bit more of that individual work in that we don't want to necessarily take up time for our team practice. Our student athletes have to come in and do this twice a week. Again, based on the type of team setting you have, how often you get your athletes. This could be something that you put in at the beginning of your practices. This could also be really great homework that you use like 1 or 2 of your practices at the beginning of the season to teach some of these individual or small group type drills to your athletes and the way you want them to do it. And then over the course of the season, you're like, okay, your homework between this week at practice and next week at practice, you got to do short shot shooting, which is where you just kind of sit in front of the basket and you're getting lots of reps into what your perfect shot looks like. You got to do some short shot shooting, film it, send me that film so I can see what you're working on during the week and I can give you some feedback, right? So being creative and kind of how you're working on some of those individual skills. If you're like, man, coach, I only have my athletes for 2 hours once a week, we got to get some team stuff in. So thinking about it in a creative way. So this was our small group. This is what we were doing that day for small group. Again, we have keys that we work on that we give them. And this is early in the season. So these are some pretty basic things that we're working on. Our small group will change as the season goes on. It'll go from, you see, we have a wide array of shooting, passing, ball handling, one-on-one work. It'll evolve towards the end of season where we're really refining some of the athletes' individual skills to what we need for them going into the postseason. So that's kind of the November plan. We do have a practice plan from February we'll switch to real quick. I'm not going to go through that in as much detail as I went through that particular practice plan with. But again, you'll see some of the exact same things that we talked about. We actually had a written out focus, so there must not have been anything digitally that day that we had. But again, you can see with this focus in particular, this has really nothing to do with a skill on court. This is all about our mental training and what we're doing. But again, our practice looks the same. The structure of it looks the same from the very beginning of the season to the end of the season as we're getting into February and we're working on more team related things. Like if you scroll through there, you'll see that it's just more team related stuff. Our keys are more team related. The drills that we're doing are more team related. So that's kind of how we take everything. And actually, if you scroll down, one other thing that we'll talk about that we didn't talk about previously, but that Coach Buchi mentioned is our end game. And I would say, we have an end game in, I would say in maybe 80 to 85% of our practices right now as we move throughout the season, just to make sure that our coaching philosophy here is decision training anyway. Everything that I coach is from a decision training perspective and from a kind of, train ugly, like practice is going to look ugly because we're learning. It's not going to look really pretty. End game is a great way to work on some decision training and some situational scenario type things that we'll see maybe once or twice in a game, but we can create that situation every single day in practice. And so really what we do is we think of an in-game scenario that either we've had, that we've struggled in, or something that we know we might see as the season starts to come to an end. We have a very specific time, score, where the ball is, who the jump ball goes to, timeouts, F2B is fouls to burn, and then particular people in foul trouble. Those are usually the ones that tend to get in foul trouble during the games. So we like to give them a little extra opportunity of practicing that during the season or during the practices as well. But what we've found with this is, it's one of those situations where we want to give them as much time as possible practicing these scenarios, because the less they look to me in an in-game situation, or really in any game situation, to make a decision, to make a change, to make an adjustment, the more successful we're going to be on court. The more that they can say, all right, this just happened, this is the adjustment that we need to make. And they do that on their own, the better we're going to be. Because as you guys all know, wheelchair basketball is a game that changes like that. From second to second to second, everything is different. And so the more that we can train them in that kind of scenario, the better they're going to be. This isn't the only way that we train that. As we move through the season, I'll change constraints that I put on different drills to force practice to be a little bit more chaotic. Basketball is chaotic. It just is. I think that's what a lot of us love about it, actually, is that it's constantly changing and it's unpredictable to some extent. There are some things you can predict. but we can train that, right? And so like, how do we change the practice constraints and change what we do in practice to ensure that we're allowing our athletes to practice that skill of decision making, to practice the skill of resiliency, to practice the skill of being able to move from one play to the other and not have to look to a coach for feedback, that we can have student athletes and athletes take leadership and make those changes. So in-game is just one way we do that. But if we were going into more depth on like a teaching session or even more depth onto how to create a practice plan and spend more time talking about, okay, this is how you can put this kind of constraint in and this is kind of what you'd get. If we have more time to do that, that's one thing that we could talk about that I think is really valuable to think about as you're a coach and as you want to kind of guide your athletes to where they want to be by the end of the season. So
yeah, so I think we got a couple of questions, right?
Oh, okay, great.
So yeah, so I want to jump on a couple of questions because Coach Rosenkrantz has got a couple of questions up there. One of the things that I saw, actually two of them will work out well, is question was, what do we do in the months from nationals to mid-August? So that time period when we're in the off season. And then also for a coach that may not have their athletes for very long, maybe once, twice a week, how do you get what do you maintain the focus and what are you working on? And I think the idea that Steph's talking about with the small group is such a big deal, is that if we can develop skills for the athletes to work on small group drills and activities, then they'll know how to do those when they're at home or when they're not in practice to be able to work on it. And tomorrow I'm going to be covering some one-on-one offense stuff for the athletes. And the first thing that we're going to be talking about is how much time an individual athlete actually has possession of the basketball in a game. And, spoiler alert, your top athletes are going to have the ball for a very small amount of time in their hands. But what's the one thing they do in the off season or when they're by themselves, not at practice? They grab a ball and they shoot the basketball for a good hour, hour and a half. So having these skills built in place where they might be doing individual chair skills, they might be working on passing and things. Those are really good skills to build in that off-season time. And what I love about it when we talk about in the context of the season plan is that let's go to the season plan. And I know there was another question that was up here of when you evaluate what you're going to do for the next season. When we get to the end of the season and evaluating what happened over that season, let's say that we struggled with turnovers and we had a lot of turnovers that way, we might be evaluating video and noticing that with that video, the turnovers came because we were not doing really good passing. So maybe in our small group and individual stuff, we need to increase our passing skills and work on those passes. So that's how that season plan build up helps us break down into chunks of what we need to correct and go through. So yeah, good question.
Add one more thing to that, Buchi?
Yeah.
So also, with having your athletes being able to, there we go. For having your athletes be able to work on those individual drills and stuff at home too, it's a great way to engage parents and siblings and other people within your program. I know sometimes we talk about like, how do we get, buy-in or engagement from parents and from siblings? That's a great way, right? Like, you take the first couple of practices, you really teach those skills and drills how you want them run, then it's something that parents and siblings can get involved with the athlete and do while they're home, whether it's working on some passing or some ball handling or whatever it is that they need to work on. So not only is it an opportunity to allow your athletes to train while they're not with you so that you can maximize your group time together, it's a really good way to engage parents and siblings and other people that are involved with that student athlete as well.
Love it. Yeah, I know that in a lot of these coaching clinics that I've done in the past, a lot of coaches are looking for those like nuggets. What's that one little sentence or thing that you can use to try to carry on to the next one? And I want to throw a nugget at you guys. Where attention goes, energy flows. And how a lot of the stuff here in the practice plan is if our energy and our attention is the things that we know that we need to accomplish that were based in the season plan, that's what we're going to have the energy at to go from there. But if we have the attention of we're going in a 2-on-2 drill and I'm so focused on them putting the ball in the basket, but we're not focusing on actually stopping chair and getting wheel position, their whole focus and their energy is going to be based on just putting the ball basket and not going to be building the fundamentals. So keeping in mind of where the attention goes, the energy flows.
So did you answer both of the questions that you had pulled up there?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it. I think one of the other questions Coach Rosenkrantz has is talking about assistant coaches and how do we utilize assistant coaches at practice?
Yeah, so I think I can go ahead and start on that. I think, we've been really fortunate to have some great assistant coaches here with us while we've been coaching. And, I think there's a couple of different ways we can look at it. So one, I think as head coaches, we have to remember that our assistant coaches are learning from us, right? Like that's the first bit, at least that's our philosophy here at Illinois. Our assistant coaches aren't here just to kind of do what we tell them to do or, do the work that we necessarily don't want to do. Like they're here to actually learn and become better coaches as well. So one of the things I think it's really important to remember is to give your assistant coaches opportunities to coach in practice, because if they're here because they want to coach in the future, it's our responsibility as head coaches to give them that opportunity. They're never going to learn and get better if they don't get in there and actually do the coaching and get the feedback from us as a head coach as to what they did well, what they can improve on, how they think they did, right? It's a way for us to mentor kind of that next generation of coaches coming in. So I think that's one big piece to remember is that our assistant coaches are with us possibly for a short period of time. And so we want to ensure that they are learning something and learning how to coach while they're here, rather than just learning how to run a computer program or something like that, right? So that's one big, I think, just basic principle to remember is how are you teaching your assistant coaches? And this can even be something you write into your season plan, right? Like, because if you have an assistant coach that's learning, that's a big part of your program. Write it into your season plan. For me personally, I'm someone who, if I do not write it down, it doesn't get done. And so literally when I say everything goes into my season plan, everything goes into my season plan, down to how we're developing assistant coaches, right? And how we're developing what they want to do. So that's the first thing I would say is, based on that principle, what kind of opportunities are you giving them to get into practice? And then how are you evaluating them, right? And how are you ensuring their growth? I think then that leads into the other part of like just practically how are they involved in practice, right? Because it could be where they have a couple drills that they take. You might need someone to film for a particular drill, and that might be their job. You might need someone, if you are running a 2-on-2 drill, that you split off and you both understand what the focus points for that drill are, and your assistant coach takes one group and you take the other group. They could take stats. Like there's a wide, vast array of how you use assistant coaches. But I think, it's based off of kind of that principle of, if they're there to learn and become a better coach, then how do you ensure that you're doing that?
Yeah, I think that's great to keep in mind, and I love the idea of it being something to give the coaches something to do, but also have them on the same page with the season plan. Is that if that is your mindset of what you want to develop for your team, and they're on the same page with it, that's a second pair of eyes that are able to watch what's happening in practices or in games, that comes back to evaluating or maybe adjusting that season plan. And that another nugget that always comes to mind with that is at practice or whatever you're doing for training, you're either contributing or contaminating the environment. And so you really want to give goals and responsibilities to those coaches and staff to be able to be contributing to it. Because if they're not contributing, they're contaminating there and they're not really doing what they need to be doing.
Awesome. I think another one of the really good questions that we have is, once a season ends, how quickly do you start planning practices and focuses for the next season? So me personally, my mind, like as soon as our national championship tournament is over, I'm kind of already thinking about the next season. And so generally what I'll do is I'll jot down my thoughts on the season, like right after they're over. I might not necessarily go right into planning, but I will at least jot my thoughts down, things I thought we did well, where we really improved during the season, things that I think we're at a place where we can start building on and doing something different. And then places where we need to improve, and where if we want to take that next step, it's what we're really going to have to work on. So I'll jot down some notes. What I'll also try to do is get some feedback from folks who I trust in the coaching community, who I know have had a chance to watch my teams play, who are kind of in my inner circle, to get that feedback on what they thought about our team's performance as well. So kind of collecting that data. And then usually for me, I'll take like the last couple of weeks of March and start to formulate that, because for us, what we do, and I think someone maybe asked this, is like, what do we do between like March and August? For us, we can do some postseason practice in April with our athletes. And then we can also do some stuff after finals if we have athletes either here in town or, you know, obviously now doing things virtually, if we don't have student athletes in town. So we'll really want to formulate thoughts about, you know, individual skill sets, where folks need to improve, especially, you know, if we have student athletes on national teams, helping them to stay and get ready for those national team experiences. So we'll start with that kind of in April, and we'll get on court a few times a week, working on some individual stuff, and over the summer as well. For me, also with team stuff, I'll be thinking about it literally all summer. Like, I'll have my season plan, which is a living document. And as I would think of something new, for me, I'm very visual. So what I'll do is I'll write it in a different color, or type it in a different color or different font or something, because then that'll remind me that that's an add to for the next season. But I'm constantly like kind of reviewing and thinking about, all right, this was really good. Oh yeah, that's right. I want to add this in. I think this postseason time is a great opportunity for us to do professional development in whatever way that you do professional development, whether it's something like this, or whether it's reading or attending another kind of camp and clinic, or something from a coaching development perspective that's not even, that's not technical and tactical related. That's just, you know, coaching and leadership and relationship based. It's a great opportunity to do that and add that kind of stuff into your season plan too. So I'm personally doing that from like the end of March, probably all the way up until our student athletes get back in town, and I'm, you know, thinking and constantly adding to stuff.
Coach Hugo is asking, what are the best times to do mental work? He's a coach in Brazil, and he was considering, they call it sports psychology. We don't have access to a sports psych person specifically for our student athletes, but the wide array of the season, we are trying to add some sport psych stuff into that. You know, it could be as simple as just having the athletes coming and watching individual video, some team building type of stuff. And then also just, you know, situational work like we talked about earlier that really builds on that. But Steph, do you have any ideas of things that you've used with your ladies or even on the national team level?
Yeah, well, so I think national team's a little bit different because most national teams normally have a sports psychologist, which I think is fantastic. I know from the 2016 cycle, if we didn't have the sports psychologist that we had, there's no way that we would have been successful. So shout out to Dr. Roberta. But I think from when you don't have access to someone who that's their skill set, that's their job, that's what they do. Again, that professional development where you can find nuggets of that you can implement as a coach, all throughout the season. And I know for us on the ladies side, what I know about our team is that if we are not in the right state mentally, then it doesn't matter what I try to teach technical and tactical wise, it's not going to happen. So I actually coach attitude first. And then once we understand what the type of attitude is that we need to bring to practice every day, then we can start getting into technical and tactical stuff, right? So like if a drill's going on, and I think I align attitude with kind of working on some of this sports psych and mentals training. Like if what we're not doing well within a drill or a skill is attitude wise, I'm not going to give any kind of feedback, technical and tactical, because it's pointless at that point. We're going to talk about our attitude. We're going to talk about how we're approaching the drill. We're going to talk about how we're being resilient and bouncing back from mistakes. We're going to talk about how we're talking to each other and how we're treating each other. So those are the things that I think are important that we as coaches can teach, that we don't necessarily need to be a sports psychologist to come in and do some kind of huge session on that we can embed in all parts of our practices so that, you know, by the time we get into a game or the end of a season or the end of a 4-year cycle or whatever it might be, then we can really get into a groove of talking technical, tactical, like, all right, great. We understand how to approach this. Now we can move into talking about, well, you didn't get axle to caster there. So personally, I try to embed it into every single practice, and we start early, like within our individual fundamental drills in September, we're talking about attitude. We're talking about how we approach it. We're talking about, the effort that we put forth. So I try to embed it in everything. I know I'm not a sports psychologist, but I know that I can coach those particular standards and skills.
All right. So I know that Coach Joins has said a question about how do you get your players to buy into roles on the team? Not everyone can be a star, shoot, or point guard. I know you mentioned this, and then also there was another question that he had too, talking about explanation on some of the drills. So just on the explanation side of things, we do have a DVD set. There's a 3 DVD set that's available on eBay that you can purchase. But if you are interested in an instructional DVD set, you can also reach to us on our Facebook page at Illinois Wheelchair Basketball, and we'll be able to get you the link to be able to purchase that to get some more explanation. And we're hoping to, in the future, be able to get some more videos out that have some instruction or details of what we do for drills. But now flipping back to the other question of the how to get an athlete to follow in a certain role. I in the past have worked with athletes understanding how their leadership is. And I think a lot of athletes understand that a leader is that one person that everybody follows. But I don't think they really get that there can be leaders everybody can be leaders in some category, in some way, and giving them responsibilities, leadership, knowing that they have an impact in what they do to the overall success of the team seems to be something that's encouraging for them. So I know I've used a lot of that, where if we have somebody that may not be that athlete that puts the ball in the basket, they may be the defensive juggernaut. That's just the person that gets stops, or it may be the one that's in the transition game, or it may be somebody that takes care of our bench and knows that our bench is the best that it's going to be in that league. Giving responsibilities and leadership really allows an athlete to attach onto something and, believe in it.
So I think we've got about 4 minutes, and I think there's a couple questions that we can maybe tackle in that amount of time. So I think one, Mike Gotzi has a good question. During the fundamental stage or early part of the season, are there any particular drills you would focus on first that may be easier to still practice some social distancing? I think as we're thinking, all of us coaches are thinking about return to play and what that looks like for us within our programs. Some of the easiest things that we can do, and probably some of the things that are the safest and are going to be the safest, is if we can get our team in the gym, depending upon the amount of courts we have, they're going to be on an entire half court by themselves, doing some shooting, passing, ball handling, a lot of those individual skills that we mentioned earlier. So, as we're thinking about return to play and what that looks like, one-on-one skills may even be a bit challenging, right? Because for wheelchair basketball, you're right on top of each other doing one-on-one shadow or one-on-one quarter court that we talked about. But just thinking about, how do we get our athletes in a position where they're on a half court by themselves, they're doing some shooting or some passing against the wall or some ball handling on their own, or with someone that they've been quarantined with that's kind of in their quarantine bubble. So thinking about it from that perspective, like how you can design a workout in that way. Coach Buchi, do you have anything to add to that?
It's the art side of coaching rather than the technical science side of it, to be able to be creative in the ways of working on individual skills. It's a tough one. I think you covered the majority of it, but when it comes out for us, it was more of how do they creative outside of the sport to be able to get their skills working on. So I know a lot of the guys, I challenge them to be looking at things in other sports to be able to build on skills or build on mental toughness, build on anything else that way. The other question that kind of came up that I thought we could kind of wrap up on was the idea of utilizing video from the beginning of the season, mid-season, and right before nationals, individual athletes and team-oriented. One of the exciting things that we have access now with technology, Zoom, is we've been doing team video sessions through Zoom to be able to watch different areas or different things. And it's not necessarily just our game film. It could be any kind of game film. And what I love doing now is having some of our athletes pick the game film. It might be some international, it might be Team USA stuff, whatever that may be, and try to figure out what those skills are and what things are happening in that game and how do we get better from that, or how do we analyze it and learn from it. So we've used that throughout the season, both in individual settings or in team settings, to get the best out of video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think just to add on to that with video, if you're thinking about it from an athlete development perspective and a season development perspective, at the beginning of the season when you're watching individual video of an athlete, it really could be focused in on like, how are they utilizing that individual skill within the context of a practice or the context of a game, right? Like you can pull out passing, ball handling, shooting, any of those individual skills and really break it down into like, okay, these are the things that we're working on an individual basis. Now look at how that connects to what it allows you to be able to do on court, right? We talk so much about being able to do things with dominant and non-dominant hand or execute skills with dominant and non-dominant hand. The video never lies, right? Not in that situation anyway. And so it's a great opportunity to really show those individual skills and how what we're talking about in a practice setting, what we're teaching in a practice setting connects to what they're able to do on court and what their limiters are, right? If they are not great passers with their non-dominant hand, you can show them those places where it really limits their ability to execute at a certain level. So, early in the season, it's really showing it from an individual skill basis. Then as we move towards the end of the season, kind of like our practice planning, we watch video from a perspective of like, okay, from a team perspective, what's our 2-on-2 game look like, all the way up to, all right, this is our 5-on-5 offense. How are we doing? What's our transition look like? To by the time we're getting to nationals, it's like, all right, we know we're going to play X team. Let's watch a couple of their games or some of their clips to really understand who they are and what they do and how we adapt, not change who we are, but how we adapt so that we're ready to combat or whatever against that team, that whatever particular skills they're throwing out there, right? So I think there's creative ways, kind of like Coach Buchi was saying through Zoom, but then like really how you use it on an individual and team basis will evolve over the course of the season.
Awesome. Okay, so that is our time. We want to thank all of you for being on here. It was so cool to have 50 other coaches on here to go through our first session. We really appreciate the time and appreciate the effort that you're putting in to become a better coach. It's really great to see that kind of growth. Excited to have you guys for the rest of the week. We've got 3 more sessions for the coaching clinic that we're working on, and they're going to be run kind of the same way like this. If you have any other questions or anything, you can contact Steph and I through our social media. It's probably pretty easy for me to get a hold of me either through Facebook or Instagram, which is Coach Buchi. So it's just Coach Buchi. Steph, do you have a contact you want to give out for that?
Yeah, my Instagram, I'll answer like direct messages and stuff on there. It's just Steph Wheeler 10, STEPHWHEELER 10. Yeah, that's what it is on, I think that's on Twitter and on Instagram. So yeah, reach out. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, we're really excited to start this virtual camp thing. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do it in person, which we love to do. But we were able to get some grant money and get some other programs in place that we want to do more Zoom things like this after the virtual camp so we can give back to the wheelchair basketball community. So if there's any ideas or interests, you can always contact us on our Facebook at Illinois Wheelchair Basketball to get some information for that too. And looking forward to seeing all of you in the future. We will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.